Imagine getting paid just for sharing your thoughts on products and services you use every day. With Survey Junkie, it's that simple. Click on the link in the video description to discover how you can start earning today by taking surveys.
Cabinet ministers have warned the polls are beyond people's wildest nightmares as Rishi Sunak is predicted to become the first sitting prime minister to lose his seat. 3 huge predictions by YouGov, Savanta, and More in Common, conducted using the so-called MRP technique yesterday found the Conservative Party on track for their worst ever result. YouGov suggested that the Tories face being reduced to just 108 seats, which would be the worst performance in their 200-year history. One cabinet minister told The Times, colleagues are understandably concerned about their area, but some of these projections are beyond people's wildest nightmares. Another said, the country has made a fundamental decision overall. Anything that is said about tax or anything else is ignored. There is no way of sorting this. You don't give up locally. But there is no quick fix to this. The YouGov poll also found a slew of current cabinet ministers would be ousted, including Jeremy Hunt, Grant Shapps, Penny Mordaunt, Mel Stride, Mark Harper, Richard Holden, and Alex Chalk. Meanwhile, the Savanta poll found Sala Braverman would be forced out, alongside Mr. Sunak. It comes as some who had their sights set on replacing Mr. Sunak, should the Tories be defeated, have now seemingly bowed out of the race. James Cleverly is reportedly no longer planning to stand in the Tory leadership race following the anticipated election defeat, with allies claiming the Home Secretary lacked the desire to succeed the current PM. Cleverly has reportedly told friends he does not wish to put himself forward to replace Mr. Sunak. Meanwhile, Ms. Braverman has had key allies predict she might not enter the race due to a lack of support after she was fired as Home Secretary in November last year. Allies have claimed if Ms. Braverman did decide to run, it would be motivated largely by trying to secure a senior role in the shadow cabinet. One figure close to the former Home Secretary told The Times she had fallen by the wayside following her regular public interventions, that colleagues saw less in the long-term interests of the party and more as an act of self-service by Ms. Braverman. Other contenders to replace Mr. Sunak include Kemi Badenoch, the Business and Trade Secretary, former Home Secretary Priti Patel, and Tom Tugendhat, the Security Minister. Yesterday's Savanta poll suggested the Conservatives would be reduced to just 53 seats, and Mr. Sunak himself would lose his Richmond Northallerton constituency. Their study projected an enormous 382-seat majority for Labour, with Sir Keir Starmer's party winning a staggering 516 constituencies on July 4. In a sign of the difficulty in making such projections, Reform was not seen as securing any seats in the Savanta MRP. 3 megapolls yesterday showed a host of Tory cabinet ministers could lose their seats on July 4. There is some variation between the MRP polls by YouGov, Savanta, and More in Common. But here are the big beats who could be out of the Commons. YouGov, Savanta, More in Common. The third MRP published last night, conducted by More in Common, found the Tories could end up with just 155 seats after July 4, with Sir Keir coasting into No 10 with 406 Labour MPs. The Lib Dems could emerge victorious in 49 constituencies, according to the research by More in Common for the Newsagents podcast. Their MRP also found Reform would not get a single seat. That is despite a separate Survation poll released this afternoon, suggesting Mr. Farage will record a stunning win in Clacton. Luke Tryl, Executive Director of More in Common UK, said, the fact that this projection showing the Conservatives barely holding 150 seats is one of the most favourable to the Conservatives shows how deep a hole the party finds itself in, with barely 2 weeks to go for them to change the dial. Far from the narrowing in the polls many expected to see by now, the Conservatives' position instead appears to be getting worse, and only a small move away from them could see them reduced to 107 seats. Labour on the other hand looks set to inherit a historic majority, while still remaining largely undefined in the eyes of the electorate. According to the MRP study from YouGov, Labour are on course for the second largest majority since the Second World War. It also suggested the Tories are headed FO.